Welcome back, everybody, to another quarter roundup. This is where myself and some of my friends are here with me to chat about the last 3 months of progressive rock, talk about our favorites, talk about our least favorites, talk about those that were most surprising to us. And yeah, we've got, it's the usual gang here. It's some familiar faces, but we'll just give a quick introduction for those who haven't seen one of these before. We'll start right below me with Ian, go over to Nathan, and finish up with Travis. So, Ian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, y'all, how you doing? My name is Ian. I run a little channel called Rhyme Signatures over on my little corner of the internet. Specialize mostly in the heavier stuff, the metal, the kind of music. Obviously, I dabble in prog, just as everyone else here does, but I'm definitely on the heavier side of the spectrum. So if you like brutality, crushing riffs, all that kind of stuff, check me out.
Love that. All right. We'll go to Nathan right here on the corner.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Nathan from Nathan on Shuffle. That's my YouTube channel covering all kinds of prog. I'm probably on the lighter end of the spectrum compared to the brutal death metal stuff that Ian tends to like. But yeah, I just love classic prog. I do videos weekly of like news roundups and like stuff with my wife where I'm showing her new prog stuff. So it's just a fun time and hopefully, people enjoy the channel.
Amazing. Great. And we'll finish up with Travis.
Hi, I'm Travis from the channel Long Words on Song Words. I'm actually trying to get back into doing YouTube again. I just recently put out a video. I also run a blog with the same name. It's over on Blogspot. I'm also a musician, as you can see. I perform under the name Borealia. You can check us out on Spotify, Bandcamp, your streaming platform of choice.
Amazing. All right. Short and sweet. Let's get into where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the best or do we want to start with the most disappointing? I feel like we
Ooh.
always start with the
Ooh,
the best.
you're
I
giving
like
us a
the
choice.
I like the sandwich of best, disappointing, and most surprising. But how do we feel? Do we want to keep that or do we want to try something different?
Don't try to fix what ain't broken.
I mean, that's true. That's true. Let's keep the cookie sandwich. Let's keep the Oreo. All right. So I'm going to let random chance decide who goes first. I've got a four-sided dice here. We've got number 3 that starts with Nathan. Then we'll go to Ian,
Ooh.
Trav, and then me. So Nathan, what was your favorite record of the last 3 months? We're covering September, August, and June. June, September, and August. Wait, no, that's not right.
July.
July,
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 August, September.
August, and September. All right,
All
Nathan,
right.
what do we got?
Okay, so my favorite album of the quarter, probably no surprise to a lot of people who follow my channel or who I talk to regularly about music, but it's Meer's Wheels Within Wheels is my favorite. I just totally love this record. I love their previous record, Playing House, which was actually my album of the year that year, beating out two Neil Morse related releases to be my album of the year. So I was pretty impressed with them, but I feel like this album like exceeds it on every level. It's a step better than what they did before. I just love their sound that they have some pop influences, some like orchestral style sounds. They have like, violin and different sounds that kind of give them more textures and just make for this really beautiful soundscape. They have these kind of dual lead vocalists, female and male, and just every track has something really great to it, a great earworm, something to grab your attention, and just some really heartfelt moments, some great emotion, some great ballads, and just some big epic moments. It's everything I love about music all in one package. So Meer's Wheels Within Wheels, one of my favorite records in the past several years, actually.
Love that. Yeah, that made my
Wow.
short list for the best as well as most surprising.
It's on
That's
my short list of best.
I love
it's
that.
same. Um, yeah, I especially love the closing track. This is the end.
Mhm.
Such a fantastic album closer.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of sort of know the guitar player from the band, and he's
Oh.
incredible.
Mhm.
He's really good, and I I absolutely love this album. I love their last one too. Like it's so cool to see that this band just keeps on topping themselves. I hope for this momentum from them in the future because they're amazing.
Yeah. Funny, when
Yeah.
I added it to my iPod after getting the early edition of it, it didn't have the last track on it.
Oh
And I was
shit.
just like, oh, well, that's an odd place to end this album. I just wish that there was like one more song that was a little bit more on the epic side, but oh well. And then I think
There
it
it
was Nathan
was.
that was just like, there's one more song that's
You
on
got
that
you got
album,
an
right?
iPod?
Sure,
You
I
got
got
an
an iPod
iPod?
Touch. Yeah.
No. Oh, okay. So like an iPhone without the phone.
No, no. So this was like the Nano, the old Nano.
Oh
Um,
shoot.
yeah, yeah. Great. All right.
Well, I
Let's
should.
Epic number that album.
I mean,
yeah.
I gotta put Meer on this bad boy.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
There you
old
I've
go.
been trying to find
school.
one of
Old
those for a while
school.
now. Yeah.
I think this one's like it's a fifth gen, but I think it's like cobbled together from parts.
Most of them are now, yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about these old iPods, though, is like you can take them apart, you can service them, you can swap out the old spinny disk hard drive with the SD cards. You're good to go.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Amazing.
So there you go.
Great pick, Nathan. Loved Mears. Let's go to Ian. What was your favorite from this quarter?
Okay, so anybody who's been watching my channel has probably got a pretty good idea as to what I'm going to pick for this. It is, I would have hold it up in physical format, but they don't have it on CD or anything yet. But it is the Ascendant Travels Among the Stars by Ubiquity. Oh
Okay.
my God. I have been so obsessed with this recently, like ridiculously obsessed. Obviously, this came to my attention when I found out that it's like three of the guys from Omnirod who put out one of my favorite albums last year with The Immensal Rise, which was just like Devin Townsend on like steroids. It was ridiculous. And if that album was Devin Townsend on steroids, this feels like Opeth on steroids, you know. This takes everything that I've loved about the classic eras of Opeth, you know, your Still Lifes, your Blackwater Park, your Ghost Reveries, your Waters, all that good stuff, you know, before things changed. Not for the worst, you know, they just changed. It's fine. And then, of course, like they delayed the new album until like November 22nd, which I was slightly heartbroken about. But then this came out, and I started listening to this, and I was like, do you know what? I'm kind of okay with Opeth being delayed a little bit because this is more than enough to keep me happy in the meantime, you know. This is honestly for me the best Opeth album that's been put out since Watershed. You could make the argument maybe it's a little derivative of its influences, sure, but when you're doing it as well as these guys have done, and you're really just one-upping everything that I love about Opeth again and again and again, they just knocked it out of the park. It's such a great album. It's a real shame though because the project did dissolve after this album came out. This is like a one and done, which kind of sucks, obviously, because I'd love to see more from these guys. But I guess we'll get to see what happens next with Omnirod. I might question them vigorously when I see them live in a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. It's going to be really, really awesome. But yeah, Ubiquity, the Ascendant travels among the stars. If you're looking for something like Opeth, then you really don't want to miss this. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I've really loved this record, and I wished I had more time with it just because of all the music that came out this year. Yeah, because was it an EP that they put out in 2017 towards
Yes.
Oblivion?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like that one, and I'm like, ooh, I got a full length record
Yeah.
this time with multiple tracks into the 10-minute mark, and it ends with a
Yeah, like
14-minute
most of them
track.
are like 10 plus. It's just like,
Yeah,
oh my
I'm like,
God.
oh, there's that Blackwater
Oh,
Park.
that.
There's that
Yeah.
Deliverance that I love,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh,
There's no filler like at all. Even like the shorter tracks don't feel like filler. They just feel like a palate cleanser because it can be a bit much. It can be a bit intense. It can be it's a lot basically. Like it's over an hour in length, and you know you get your money's worth out of it. But every track hits. Everything slaps so hard, and I am just obsessed. I cannot stop listening to it. But there's one album that's come out recently which has kind of put up the brakes on that, but I can't talk about it for this quarter. But you know, that's for 3 months' time. You know.
That's right.
oh. I'm embarrassed to admit that it's been on my to listen list for as long as you've been drilling it into our brains in chat. So, and I still
It's
haven't
worth
gotten
it.
around to it, but I'm like, I really need to check out that Ubiquity record because
Yeah.
like I too am sad about the Opeth delay, and I'm kind of I'm kind of craving a little bit of that melodic progressive death metal sound again, so
We'll sort you
I
out.
I
Don't you
should
worry.
check that out.
Yeah.
I think that's my homework after this, is I'm
There
gonna
you
put that
go.
record on.
That's usually what this is, right? I do
Yeah.
this as a selfish reason to
Start,
find
start
what
writing
I
down all the
missed so that
records,
I
like,
can.
oh,
Yeah, amazing. All right, well that goes to you, Travis. What was your favorite record of the last 3 months?
oh, well, I've got a few, and it's hard for me to pick between them. So we've already mentioned Meer, so I'll keep that off my list. But one that I really enjoyed was Hopium by KingCrow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Really fantastic record. I find that what KingCrow is kind of doing, I touched on this on a vlog or on a blog that I wrote around when Almo came out with Reconciliation, was it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how like there's this sort of new wave of progressive metal that's kind of come, and it's already kind of starting to, I don't want to say fizzle out, because there's a lot of those bands like Haken, Leprous, uh, all those bands in that vein are still going strong and still putting out relatively good material still. But now you've got all these bands that are coming up that are influenced by this wave of progressive metal. And I find that when you start to have that like new wave of bands coming in that are taking over a bit, you know, it's kind of like what happened to like bands like Dream Theater back in like the 2000s. They kind of started to stagnate a little with their sound and really just kind of kept putting out stuff that was a little more safe but then you still had these bands like Haken coming out going, well, Dream Theater's not Dream Theatering anymore, so we need to Dream Theater harder than them.
Right.
And KingCrow is kind of doing this to Leprous. Like they are leprosing harder than Leprous is at the moment.
Yeah.
And but they still sound unique. They still sound like they are KingCrow, not a band covering or trying to be Leprous. They have their own distinct sound, which is something I really enjoyed about this record. Like it's still got that sort of jittery, technical, rhythmic interplay that I loved about, middle era and earlier Leprous, but it's got this melodic sensibility. I mean, the vocals aren't as strong as Enar's, let's be real here.
Who's are?
Who's are? But it's still a fantastic record. One of the best modern prog metal records that I've had the pleasure of hearing this year. Yeah, so I'll pick that as my number one favorite, but I've got a couple more that maybe I'll touch on when we circle back.
Yeah, when we do the roundtable. Yeah, that was Hopium by KingCrow, and that was one of my favorites as well as most surprising records. So yeah, there it is.
Nice.
If it passes the Nathan seal of approval and it's more heavy, then you've got something special.
Yeah.
I need to take that. I mean, I already did it in chat, but I need to take that Heather's pick from like our Indigo chapters bookstores and then like edit it to be Nathan's pick.
Yeah.
Because like anytime like Nathan comes out with like, you guys have got to check this out, it's usually going to be damn good.
It's like the Nintendo seal of quality, but it's
the Nathan seal of quality.
Literally every time you've recommended me something, Nathan, like every single time, it's fire. Like I'm just like, you are so tuned into like pretty much everything that we like, and it's like you figured us all out so well. And I just know it's gonna be good.
Amazing. Nice. All right. I guess that leaves me. There were a lot of great records, and my short list has 4 records on here. So like that's quite a bit. Yeah, Ian, we're gonna see if we get the bingo on this one. So
okay. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Channel it.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna
Are we going heavy notes or light notes?
Oh, let's see. Well, this
is going to be pop notes.
I was going to say this year has been.
It could also be pop notes. That's also
this year has been very pop for me.
Brat notes.
Yeah, hip hop. Yeah, gangster hip hop notes.
John Anderson.
This year, close. Close. This year has been very pop for me. My choice for the first quarter was a pop record. My choice for the second quarter was a pop record. This one is also a pop record.
Ooh,
And my favorite one is Magdalena
Sabrina.
Bay's. Oh, you're so close. You're so close because
Ah,
Sabrina is the first runner-up.
yeah,
No, it's Magdalena Bay with their Imaginal disc.
yeah,
This
amazing.
record is one of those records where, like, this is what I love about prog, like capital P prog music, where the first couple of listens, there's something on here to make me come back to, and I'm like, it's fine. But then the more I listen to it, the more I end up loving it, and the more those smaller tracks that I didn't appreciate on the first 4 or 5 listens really become the superstars of the 30 or 40th listen. I love the concept of it. I love the kind of like the idealized person and what you could do with that, and how there's like you lose that authenticity about that when you're not embracing some of your flaws within it. The music is the perfect blend between a very like synth wave 80s pop music with the constructions of progressive rock, because Magdalena Bay came out of the ashes of Tabula Rosa, which is a straight
Mhm.
up progressive rock band. So I love that here's these two personalities that are used to playing in the sandbox of Prague putting their flair on pop music. So yeah, there's 2 tracks on here, Watching TV and oh, what's the big one for me is, give me a second, Cry for Me. Those 2 tracks alone, best 2 tracks of the year, I think. Especially Cry for Me, which is like a Carly Rae Jepsen style disco style of prog. Anyway, I'm going to stop gushing about this record. I've loved it. It's one of
It's
the
fantastic.
easily, it's fantastic. It's absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic.
I absolutely loved this. I thought this was a phenomenal piece of work. Not normally, I mean, I'm open to every kind of music, obviously, and I enjoy every kind of music. I've had a little bit of a Brat Summer, not a huge one, but we had a little Brat Summer as a
Oh,
treat, you know.
Brat
We had a bit
Summer.
of that
Yeah,
going on. Yeah, a little one, just a little one.
just a
But
little.
no, this is a phenomenal
Okay.
record. I fell in love with this from the opening to the closing notes of it. Oh, it's just so good. Like you
So
say,
good.
it's properly progressive pop music. It's so good.
Mhm.
They have the attitude, the aptitude, and the sensibilities of a progressive rock band because they were a progressive rock band. And they've taken what they've known from that and brought it into the pop world, and it's brilliant. I love this album.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like,
That's yeah.
I love their first record of Arcusual World. Like I discovered it last year and it came out in 2022. Um
21.
21. Thank you.
Yep.
And if
I
I
got
had
the
listened,
wiki
oh,
open.
there you go. And if I had heard it in 2021, it would have been one of my favorite records of that year. And this album, it took a little bit longer, but I think it has exceeded that one. I think it's even better than that first one.
Huh. Well, I've never heard the records. I've never even heard of this group yet, but
Check them
just
out.
checking out, looking at their Wikipedia page right now, and yeah, the fact that they went from progressive rock to synth pop. They even list a genre called prog pop in here, which that's kind of interesting. It sounds like something I should check out. Um, yeah, it's like the exact opposite of Leslie Hunt from District 97.
Pretty much, yeah.
From pop to prog. But yeah,
Absolutely.
that sounds interesting. I might have to give these guys a listen.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, Imaginal Disc from Magdalena Bay was amazing. Our buddy Matt O'Leary couldn't make it today, and he sent his favorite surprises and most disappointing albums. So we'll just finish this up before we open it up for runners up with Matt's favorite, which is What is Music by Clark Sound. I know that there's some fans of that record here on the call if they want to speak to it.
Yeah, I love that record. It's almost a bit more in the poppier kind of world, kind of like 70s jazz rock. Maybe think about like Steely Dan, or I thought a lot about like the Lemon Twigs also, which maybe is
Mhm.
why Matt really loves it too. So, yeah, just really great music, like great melodies, but kind of more complex arrangements, and I just think it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't heard it, so I'm gonna have to. That's my research or my homework
Any
is
name
to listen to
dropper,
that.
any name drop of the Lemon Twigs in the same sentence as another band is like, okay, now I'm looking into it, you know. Definitely.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. So let's open it up for any kind of runners up. As I mentioned, I actually remembered that I have a fifth one. So
Oh.
I'm going to rapid
Oh.
fire these without giving any kind of context for them. The Aphelion with Nascent, love that record, super heavy. Circe Link and Christian Nesmith with Arcana, probably my favorite prog record of the year. Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. It's short, it's sweet, it's great. I loved it. One that came out of nowhere for me was Ali X and The Girl with No Face. It's very like 80s synth pop, like
Ooh.
really like if you had told me it dropped in like 1986, I would have been like, yeah, that checks out. And then
That
finally,
sounds like my kind of pop.
absolutely. And then one that's sitting behind Nathan is Ritual, the story of Mr. Bogged, Part 1.
That was great.
Yeah, runner up for
Love it.
best prog stuff from this year. So yeah, who else had some runners up? This is kind of a round table.
Yeah, I had a couple as well. King Gizzard's Flight B741 was like the first one from this quarter that I really got into. I think it's a really fun record. Just really, that's all I can really say. It's fun, you know. Great to hear more lead vocal experimentation with them too. Nightwish, Yesterwind. That's a pretty good record. I mean, I'm not really like a big symphonic metal guy, but Nightwish always kind of hits that spot for me, and I definitely like this one a lot better than their last record, which I thought was still pretty good, but like this is definitely like more classic Nightwish. It's so much better than the last one.
Human Nature was kind of
it was a little like it had some great moments and then it had some dips in quality.
This was a step
I
up.
loved that one. I loved Human Nature.
I do like a lot of the songs on it. And then another one that made my short list is a very recent release from a YouTuber, Rob Scallon, Crowded Rooms. So it's kind of a weird record because it's a mix of like gent riffs with Midwest emo.
Okay.
It's so what the heck is he thinking? But like it works. Somehow it works. It's such a weird record. Eh? Sorry?
I forgot he was even a thing, Rob Scallon. He's still knocking around. That's great.
Yeah, he had a big mental health episode over the last couple of years. Discovered he was bipolar, and yeah, he's been through the ringer for the last year and a half. So, and his other project, 1st of October, had to be postponed this year because he caught COVID.
Oh shoot!
Darn.
Not having a good time.
He's not having a good time, but he did release an album, and
there we go. I will check that out.
I listened to it. It's just like this is so wild and weird and wacky, and I love it.
That's fair. Totally fair. All right, Ian or Nathan, some runners up for the best.
You want to take this one first, Nathan, or shall I?
I guess I could real quick.
I'll let you go first. Yeah.
As was already mentioned, I would have said the Ritual album as well. Story of Mr. Bugged, Part 1. I think that's great, excellent, classic prog stuff. I like a band called Dilemma. Their album, The Purpose Paradox, I thought was really good. Kind of heavier prog, maybe even veering into prog metal. Think like Frost and some of the heavier sides of Neil Morse band kind of thing. I love the Pure Reason Revolution album. Coming Up to Consciousness was one of my favorites. They're fast becoming one of my favorite bands right now. So
they're a good go-to. They haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah,
No.
just super solid record. Just really cool.
Oh, Notes has some opinions.
I have some opinions. I have some opinions.
Okay.
It's okay.
Not
It's
in
2 versus
agreement
1.
there.
We can take them.
3 versus 1.
3 versus 1. We can take them.
Oh boy.
Okay. I'll probably hold that till the disappointments, maybe. But
This
yeah.
is a safe space for all opinions.
But yeah, I
Alright.
think those are the main ones. Maybe also mentioning the John Anderson record.
Oh yeah,
with the
Yeah,
band Geeks
absolutely.
True, I think is also excellent. So
it's another one I still need to give a spin to,
It's really
It's-
good.
It has no right to be as good as it is.
Yeah.
especially with that cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Anderson's rap era.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's either, you look at it this way, it's either the greatest cover of all time or the worst. It's both at the same
It's got
time,
people
It's
talking.
kind of like
Schrodinger's album
exactly.
cover.
You remember it.
You
Exactly.
remember it. That's right.
Right. I've got a couple still outstanding. Obviously, Meer, we've already talked about. I loved it. Incredible record. Nothing I can really say about it that hasn't already been said before. Again, John Anderson was on my shortlist for the best. I know, me choosing that as like a shortlist for my best. I was not expecting that. Which in and of itself was a bit of a surprise as well. Considering I'm not the hugest Yes fan. I like them, but I don't love them. But that might be coming up in another video at some point in the future. But the things that I also really, really loved, I loved Beyond the Reach of the Sun by Ancients. Big fan of this. If you like Mastodon, you can't go wrong. This is some of the coolest guitar work I've heard all year. It's a lot of a lot. Again, it's not a easy record to just sit down and listen to because there's so much going on and it's incredibly dense, but it's really good. It's a great whiskey sipping album. You sit there and you just drink it all in. It's amazing.
I'm gonna be sipping some whiskey tonight.
Oh, there you go. Get yourself some Ancients going on. Get yourself some Ancients.
Excellent.
Ubiquity, And the only other one, which I'm still waiting to show up because there's been production and supply delays through the Bandcamp order, it is Dawn Treader with Bloom and Decay, which is scratching that black gaze itch that I've been having all year. It's, if you like your Death Heavens and stuff like that, it's very politically charged, which it feels quite necessary in the current climate as well. It's very, very on the nose, but in a good way. And it's great to hear this kind of message in a modern and contemporary political setting coming from this style of music. I think it works beautifully. Brilliant soundscapes, fantastic instrumentation, all by this one guy. So it's absolutely killer, and the album art is so good as well. I'm really hyped for my CD to arrive hopefully next week. I've been waiting a little while, but good things come to those who wait. And that really was my second in line for the quarter. I've absolutely loved that album. The only thing I'm slightly disappointed about is I never really got around to giving a full review, but I did touch on one of my quarterly ones. But I'm one guy. I've only got so much time. But yeah, it's a great record.
Amazing. All right, let's move on to those that disappointed us. These aren't necessarily the worst. I always like to preference that this isn't necessarily the worst.
Well,
these are just but they are the ones that disappointed us, right? We had an expectation and it fell short of that expectation. So why don't we just keep that same order, but we'll start with Ian first, then go to Travis, then me, and then we'll finish off with Nathan. This way everybody gets a chance to see what everybody else has first, so that I'm not the one that's like, oh well, good, it's whatever's left on my list.
I think Ian, you and I are gonna have the same two albums, and whichever one you've picked, I'll do the other one.
Yeah, I think we might have the same wavelength going on here.
I think we're all going to have one of the same ones. So
I should have a bingo card and a dabber out for this. So all right, go.
Travis, I'm sure I'll give you time to figure your one out. My pick though, unfortunately, and as much as it pains me to say, it goes to Melodies of Atonement by Leprous.
That's mine.
Yeah. I've been really struggling with Leprous of late. I really, really have. Now, I have made my peace with the fact that Tall Poppy Syndrome, Bilateral, Cole, The Congregation, I have made peace with that era is done. Okay, I have moved past that. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is the fact we have seen so little progression in the band since then that everything feels like it is a variation on whatever came before it. It felt like Pitfalls was a variation of Magdalena, and then Aphelion was a variation on Pitfalls, and now Melodies of Atonement feels like a variation on Aphelion, and it all just feels like it's slowly and surely just becoming the Einar Solberg and Friends show. As much as we complain about it every single time a new album comes out, every single time they potentially tease us that maybe they're moving back to the heavier roots, like with that final track on Aphelion, which was really, really good. It just all ends up becoming a formulaic sequence of songs where you've got your spacey intro, Einar goes, oh, 30 seconds. Then there's a heavy breakdown of the chorus, and then Einar goes, oh, again, and then we fade out into nothingness, and you repeat this for like 8 or 9 tracks over like 50 minutes or whatever. And for me, Melodies of Atonement was just that exact same formula again and again and again. And I'm just tired. I'm tired of hoping that they're going to be a more interesting band again. I'm tired of hoping that we are going to see a return to real progressive music from these guys. And I think I'm almost just at the point where I'm just giving up. It really upsets me that I feel this way about this band because I love these guys. I've seen them live like 7 times and they're amazing. I love those first 3 or 4 albums, incredible. I just am not feeling this one. And it really upsets me that I'm feeling this way about it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
sounds like you need a little hopium.
Yeah.
Hey!
There it is. There it is.
But
Well,
it.
yeah, I feel what you said about the Enar and Friends show bit because like it's criminal what they're doing to that drummer in Leprous.
God is
Like
like
he's one of
crazy
the
good.
greatest in Prog at the moment,
Yeah.
and they're underutilizing him. I
Mhm.
mean, the second single I think it was that came out, I did like that song, and I mean, it's not a terrible record. It's not
No,
like
no,
I'm
it's
putting it
very
on and going,
satisfying.
"Oh
Yeah.
my God."
No, no,
But
no, absolutely not. No, no, no.
they definitely teased it as a return to like their metal
Mhm.
roots. And
Then it was like,
I
nope.
mean, okay, the guitars are a little more upfront at some parts, but
Yeah.
it's not, it's missing the things I like about Leprous. Like, I mean, I even
Yeah.
go back to Molina's. I love that record. It's the only one of
Mm.
theirs I own on vinyl.
Mhm.
But like, even that album had some really good, like, technical riffs, and everybody's talents were on display.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it really doesn't feel like that with this record. It feels like anybody could be playing that guitar part. Anybody could
Exactly.
be playing
Yeah.
those drums. It doesn't matter
There you go.
because
Yeah.
it's all just a vehicle for Enar to
I
go,
know. Yeah.
oh, oh.
Exactly. Oh, it's just frustrating. It's so frustrating. I mean, like you say, it's not a bad record. It's perfectly fine, and I didn't not enjoy my time I spent with it, you know. But I just feel we deserve more. We deserve better. We deserve something more interesting than what we were given.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't think I was as disappointed as I could have been. Now, this was my most disappointing record, mainly because of the hype that was surrounding it and the first couple of tracks that were released. And I feel as if, in isolation, all of these tracks are completely fine. They're very enjoyable, and I really like them. It's just they're all so similar that
Mm.
that's where I get the most disappointment out of it. And Pitfalls and oh, what's the other one that they put out? Anyway, the last 2 records from them, you can tell how quickly they've left my mind. I was already very
Feeling
disappointed
like the
over.
same. Yeah.
So I had medium hopes for this one, even with some of the return to form things that were coming on. And even then, I'm just like, oh, womp womp. So it's just kind of like it was more of a womp than it was a full disappointment. But yeah, I think the days of
Yeah.
Paul tall poppy syndrome, there we go, Cole and bilateral. Yeah, I think those are kind of done.
Yeah.
I don't think we're coming back to them anytime soon. So,
Mm-mm.
which is a shame because that's where my heart's at. But at least we have Hopium. You know.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, cool. Nathan, any thoughts about? I know that they're not necessarily your favorite band, and I know that this era is kind
Right.
of your more favorite. But what did you think about it?
I was similarly disappointed. It probably would have been my choice also. I don't know, it's kind of funny because it doesn't really hit for people who wanted older Leprous, and I think it also doesn't really work for people who like newer Leprous. It's
Who is
just
it for?
it's not
I
really in
mean,
line
my
with the
favorite
last
is
couple records
Molina.
either. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just didn't really work, and I don't know. It felt more like kind of Einer's solo album, and I
Yeah,
just
Maybe
wasn't as huge
ironically
a
I've
fan
already
of it.
had.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
because 16 was better than this. I
Yeah.
liked
Yeah.
16 a
No.
lot more
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd
than
agree.
this.
I'd agree.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Moving on. So, Travis, now that the big the big pick has been chosen. Which is the runner-up?
Or did we even get to my disappointment yet?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I'm saying that
Oh,
because Leprous was most likely
yeah.
all of our biggest disappointment. What was the
Ian's got
collective
it.
choice.
It's Time 2 by Winterson.
ah?
And I'm gonna preface this with a little bit of a like, I like the music on this album fine. I think my disappointment has more to do with everything else around the record. The
Okay.
the crowdfunding campaign,
Mhm.
the nearly endless development hell that this record went through. Um, this was supposed to be out in 2008.
Uh-huh.
Time 1 was supposed to be out in 2006, but it didn't come out until 2012. It's like, how does it take like 14 years to make a record like this? It's incredible, like how disappointing it all is when it comes down to it. Because I mean, these records sound like they belonged in like
Mhm.
2008. They
Mhm.
sound so
Mhm.
dated. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good music on this record, but it's coming out at a time when so many progressive and melodic death metal bands have come out, and
The genre has
pretty
evolved.
it's evolved, and Winterson is just kind of, well, we're gonna stick to 2008 here.
Yeah.
We now
And
have Neobliviscaris, we now have bands like Ubiquity.
mhm.
Uh, it seems like Opeth might be returning to their
Mhm.
former glories again. And then Winterson just kind of drops this, where it's like, this album should have come out so much longer ago. I think even if it came out 6 years after
Mhm.
Time 1, the disappointment would probably have been dampened just a little bit, But the fact that it's taken twice that, it's been 12 years since Time 1 came out. So many people have sunk so much money into this record.
Yeah.
And for what? For an album that's basically a carbon copy of Time 1. Like musically,
Yeah.
lyrically,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
just kind of, it's
It's
nothing we
just a
haven't heard before.
yeah. It's a basic follow-up. It's
And
it's frustrating.
and it's like these Time records have been sort of heralded as like these are supposed to be like the pinnacles of this
Mhm.
symphonic progressive death metal genre,
Mhm.
and it just really isn't anymore. To
You know
me,
what the
this is
problem
just
is,
a
right?
normal record.
Yeah. The problem is, right? The problem is with Winterson is they peaked first thing out of the gate. That first record, that first Winterson record, is an absolute stone cold genre-defining masterpiece. It is beyond brilliant. Words alone are not enough to describe how fantastic that record is. But the problem
Yes.
when you hit that peak, when you hit that incredible high, and you then come out with whatever the hell that stupid Seasons record was as well in between Time 1 and Time 2. That was god awful. I don't know what the hell happened there. But then you've got this 12-year gap between these two albums. You have this enormous crowdfunding campaign, endless, over a decade of hype. And for what? You get something which is ostensibly just Time 1.5. You
It's
still got those Wish.com Kung Fu Panda orchestrations that kick the record off. It's just like, what, are we really still doing this? Is this really where we're still at? You're still peddling out this like 2008 sort of basic bitch nonsense? I'm like, come on, really? I
and
just found it so irritatingly basic compared to what the genre has become in the time since Time 1 came out. Ironically, time has been against time.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And like you look at a band like Marillion for the crowdfunding thing, like they turn over their crowdfunding into a brilliant new record every single time. So it can't
Yeah.
be that hard. But of course, Yari Manpia, or however you pronounce his name, has to tell us all about how his computer can't handle 100 orchestral tracks. I mean,
Oh no.
Nightwish can do it.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Yeah. It's
Like,
interesting. Like
he makes it sound like he needed to invent new technology for this record to be possible, but it's like this is really just any symphonic death metal record from the mid 2000s.
yeah.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
were saying.
Well, I came into this album with very little context, and I'm like, oh, this is a great time. And I remember messaging you guys being like, hey, this album's really good. And you're like, oh dear, no. And
I
so
mean,
since then, I have gone back and I've listened to Time One, I've listened to their debut self-titled, and I even listened to the Four Seasons, and I'm like, okay, I see where they're coming from. I see where they're coming from in this one. At least it's not the Forest Seasons, at least it's not
Yes,
that
there
one.
is that.
yeah, it's an
There is
improvement
that.
on that one.
But I
Yeah.
also see exactly where you guys are coming from, where it's like, yeah, it's not their debut, and it's basically just time again.
But again, like, I
Yeah.
don't hate the music. Like, I mean,
No,
if I
it's
put it on
fine.
it's got its cheesy moments. I
Yeah.
do think that the guitar solos are absolutely top notch on the record. But yeah, I mean, the time for
It's
that
not a
kind of
bad
music
album.
is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ultimately, like you say, this is the disappointment section, not the it's terrible section. And it's just a disappointing album. It's just like, it could have been so much more. We deserved so much better, especially everybody put all that money into it. And it's just like,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that moves over to me after we've talked about Winterson time 2. This one was hard for me because there wasn't a lot of big disappointments. Oh, I'm just gonna wait for my internet to catch up. Waiting. There we go. Sorry, I had to wait for my internet to catch back
Oh,
up.
there you go.
There we go. Yeah, this one was hard for me because, like, outside of Leprous, there really wasn't too many albums that came out this quarter that really disappointed me. In fact, I had the opposite problem where too many albums like surprised me or blew me away. But when I sat down and thought about it, there were two after Leprous that didn't reach the expectations that I had. And I honestly have to blame John Anderson for raising the bar so high for legacy
Did I miss
artists.
a Yes album?
Well, maybe. But like John Anderson's True was so good that I'm like, oh, okay, so these solo artists from legacy bands can produce outstanding and remarkable albums that we can look back on very fondly rather than just they were having fun in the studio, right? And so with that, I came to these two records, and I think I'm going to go with the more popular one. I think I'm going to go with the one that more people know about so we can have a little bit more of a lively discussion. That is from our boy David Gilmour and his album Luck and Strange. Again, it's not a bad record. It's not a bad one. It's just after Rattle That Lock and On an Island, and then much, looking way back with About Face and his self-titled debut record. Like, all four of his past records have had something that I've really, really loved on it.
Now, while you're disparaging my boy, I'm just gonna have to have my Stratocaster.
No, and like this is the thing, right? This is the thing. He has done brilliant and beautiful music in the past, right? He has done brilliant music in his kind of twilight era, right? And even with some of the stuff that he's written in the past, like with Pink Floyd, with The Endless River and Rattle That Lock, it's like, okay, I know you were able to master an emotion. You're able to like bring forth through music a universal emotion. And I felt on this one, again, it's not bad, but there's nothing new on this. There wasn't anything that was, that made me want to go right back and listen to it again. And part of that might just be his, going back with old demos, especially around, the keyboardist of Richard Wright, of like, okay, what did we do in the past and how can I emulate that? Or, let's bring in my family with, what's her name? I always want to call her Resume, but I know that's not it. Remini? That's it.
Yeah.
And like, I almost would rather
Romani,
listen to,
yeah,
I would rather listen to
Romani.
her album and see what she can do. Yeah, and again, it's fine. And I don't want to leave this with like it's a bad album, because it's definitely not. It's just I was hoping for more, and I think out of his 4 records, this is probably his weakest. So
I could see that.
That's what I've got for
It's David Gilmour with a
from Mr.
guitar.
Gilmour.
It's
I
fine.
mean,
That's fine.
I mean, I liked the record enough. I thought the track with Romany singing on it was fantastic. I thought that was the best song on the record. It hit me right in the heartstrings. So, but yeah, I can see what you're getting at. I mean, this is the thing with these legacy artists that have careers twice as long as I've been alive is after a while, it's like there's really nothing new. Like they really hone in on their one thing that they know how to do, and they just keep doing that forever. It's funny too because I was reading some interviews before the record came out, how they were talking about how David Gilmour was working with a new producer who had I think I'm paraphrasing here, zero respect for his past.
Okay.
And like they were actually actively trying to not make it sound like a Pink Floyd record, even though like Gilmour himself, I think, was saying something about how this was his favorite record that he's put out since Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, I mean, he likes it. I'm happy
Yeah,
for him.
I think like if John Anderson's album of True didn't come out, I probably would like this a little bit more. But again, John Anderson showed that even if you're still playing in that same sandbox that you've been playing in for the past 60 years, you can still create some really, really fantastic and, vibrant music. And I just didn't feel that on this one.
Typical
Yeah.
bloody John Anderson. He goes away for like 20 years and comes back and makes everyone else looks bad. It's just so petty of him, I swear.
It's true. It's true. Like where does he get off? Where does he get the gall?
How dare you?
Oh boy. So yeah, that's me. Nathan, what do you got for your most disappointing record?
Okay. Yeah, this is always the hardest section for me, as you all know. And my top two are ones that were already said, is the Leprous and David Gilmour. And so I had two other I wrote down, but I wasn't wanting to talk about them. But one is King Gizzard, which isn't really fair because I just already am not a huge fan, and so
yeah,
this isn't
That's
really
fair.
ever connecting with me. The other one is like one that just came out that I probably need to give more time to is Weather Systems, Ocean Without a Shore,
Yes.
which I was hoping it would be more like
Okay.
like Anathema, but it feels like it's kind of missing something for me, that
I haven't
this
heard it
magic
yet.
that Anathema had, that I
So.
just feel that this is lacking a little bit. I don't know if it's the missing members, the vocal performance,
Possibly.
things like that, but and I've only heard it like once or twice, but
Yeah. I like it, but so far I don't like love it, but I do like it from what I've heard so far. But I totally get what you're saying when you come like the whole it's not quite anathema thing, but and it does. Do you know what it is for me, right? It feels really weird to call your band after one of your most popular records. That feels like a Jeff Tate thing to do because it was a Jeff Tate thing to do. And
Yeah.
I left
Oh
a
my
little
God.
tiny sour taste in my mouth, I'm just like, excuse me, Mr. Kavanagh, what are you doing? Are you on this slippery slope? Are you going to call your next album F you and just go with that? Is this where we're going?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You should call it like Falling Satellites 2, the better one. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same, like I found I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, just because the last Anathema record didn't really do anything for me. It was just a little bit lackluster, and I think that this is better than that one, but I think it's missing that secret sauce that kept Anathema together, and that maybe it's some of the band members that aren't with us in Weather Systems, maybe it's just where they are currently. It's a fine record, and I agree. I think I need more time with it because I've only given it 2 or 3 spins. But it's fine. But I think, yeah, the legacy of, I pronounce it Anathema, but I know a lot of people call it Atoma or whatever. But I'm going to die on this hill. For me, it's Anathema. You don't put a TH in a word.
I think it's I think it's a North American versus European pronunciation thing.
Could be.
Oh, okay. Like tomato, or
maybe.
aluminium.
Well, that's because you spell it differently.
Zeppelin and Zeppelin. So yeah. It was fine, but I agree. I think naming it after the best record is like you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot in that case. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah. it kind of sets expectations a bit, doesn't it? Like
It does.
unfairly so, but it's just like, come on, guy.
Yeah.
Even like the front cover is definitely reminiscent of that 360-degree photography from Weather Systems. And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Don't try and advertise yourselves as like a spiritual sequel if you can't even live up to the original. It's like,
Yeah.
oh well.
Great. So that brings us to before we do the open house kind of round table, Matt's big disappointment was Like All Before You by the Voidz. It's good, not great. Tyranny set the bar too high, is what he has said. I've never heard this before. As always, Matt
Same.
is coming in strong with some niche recommendations that I love.
Yeah.
And I wish he was here to give a little bit more context.
We love that about Matt. Like, he just comes in with these records that are like, whoa, that's not even in my wheelhouse. Like, but they're always like good records, heavy hitting, great records. So yeah.
The only other record that I have in my most disappointing was Steve Howe's record of Guitarscape.
Oh, I didn't even know he put one out.
Yeah, he put it out. When did he put it out? He put it out September 27th, so a couple months ago. And again, because we had Steve Hackett putting out a fantastic record earlier this year, we had John Anderson putting out another fantastic record this year. Once again, I felt like the bar was raised for these types of tracks, and especially like I actually really liked his album from a couple of years ago, Love Is. It came out in 2020. It was very like chill. It was very like in that time space. I needed an album like that. And this just kind of feels like part two without doing anything really new on it. Again, it just kind of feels like he's in the studio just kind of noodling around without any kind of real direction. So yeah, I mean, it was fine, but with Steve Howe, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more.
Yeah.
Howe's one of my favorite guitar players of all time, so
I
always have some pretty high expectations for him. So it's a little disappointing to hear that wasn't a very good record.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't already listened to Love Is from 2020, I would recommend.
I haven't yet.
That one. Listen to that one. Don't bother with this one. Listen to that one. Any other disappointments? I know that this quarter was kind of hard to find. Oh,
none from me.
I've got one more. And it's disappointing because, first of all, I didn't even realize this had come out. And when I listened to it, I was like, The new Motorpsycho album of Nay.
Ooh. I didn't know this one went out.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's just passed over like a silent but deadly fart. It just sort of was like, there, and then it's gone. It's like, it's another Motorpsycho album. It's a little bit like Yay, but it's not.
I was going to say, they're playing off of their last record of Yay
as
Nay.
Which again, I wasn't really hugely into Yay. Like the last Motorpsycho album I thought was really, truly excellent. I did originally have it on the thing behind me, but for some reason I've changed it out for Stephen Wilson. I don't know why I did that, but The All Is One, which I thought was phenomenal. Ancient Astronauts I thought again was fine. Kingdom of Oblivion was fine. But then Yay and now Nay, I'm just a bit like, guys, I know your thing is that you put an album out like every 6 months or whatever it is, but can we just maybe you're not quite King Giz at this point, which is fine, but just, I don't know, maybe take a break for 3 or 4 years and just come back after that, because I just felt this one was just all in one ear and right out the other, which is a real shame because I love Motorpsycho. I think they're a brilliant band.
Same.
The taken as a whole.
I was gonna say, like their run from Heavy Metal Fruit all the way until I think the one is the All Is One.
Yeah.
Like all those records,
it's so good.
like Death Defying Unicorn, Still Life with Eggplant, Behind the Sun, Here Be Monsters, The Tower, The Crucible, like all of them bangers after banger after banger after banger. And then we got
these last two.
Yeah, Kingdom of Oblivion.
It was fine.
Ancient Astronauts, Yay. They were fine. But
Yeah,
like
it
when you're
just kind of
used to,
feels a little bit like they're running on autopilot at the moment, and they're just putting
yeah.
out whatever they're jamming. And it's a harmless record. It's just, eh.
Yeah, and I think this was something that we had been talking about when we were talking about Leprous, where like,
Yeah.
here's a band that really crafted a niche sound, and now we have other
Hmm.
bands that are practically doing the same thing. Like I'm thinking of like King Buffalo or Soup
Hmm. Hmm.
or some of those other bands that are doing the motorcycle sound better.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, I'd rather just listen to King Buffalo again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That's fair. Like I need to listen to Nay because again, if Motorcycle puts out an album, I'm going to listen to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, same,
You
same.
know? So yeah, and yeah, it was fine. I thought it was an
Yeah,
interesting departure, but yeah, it was fine.
yeah.
I'm not saying it's good, but it's fine.
It's still worth giving a spin, especially if you like the band. It's just, just don't expect your world to be set on fire by it or anything like
Okay,
that.
that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's move into most surprising records. These were records that came out of nowhere. We had a very low expectation of, and it totally exceeded all that. And following the format, let's start with Travis, then me. We'll go down to Nathan and end with Ian. Travis,
Okay.
most surprising record of the last 3 months.
Yeah, so getting back to the topic of legacy artists, Deep Purple equals one.
Oh
That was a
yeah.
surprising record. Although, when I really think about it, I shouldn't be that surprised because, I mean, this was a pretty decent record for a band that's got a career over half a century long. This is
Mhm.
a decent record. There's a lot of really good material on here. Their new guitar player, Simon McBride, is really tearing it up with the band, doing a really good job replacing Steve Morse. And yeah, there's some really good proggy moments. I think it's either the closing track or the track before it has some like genuinely like fleet-fingered prog rock that just makes me mm. And but then I shouldn't be that surprised because the last few Deep Purple records have actually been pretty decent too,
Yeah,
Infinite,
they have.
Whoosh, those have been good records. So maybe I'm just surprised that a band that's had this long of a career just hasn't dropped off in quality like so many others that have careers as long. It feels like this band should be on the decline, but
Mm.
it really just feels like they're just continuing to put out maybe not masterpieces, but good record after good record. And this record surprised me because I was blown away with the first listen. I went into it with kind of middle of the road expectations, not really sure what I was going to hear, but I'm I'm glad that they're still trying. Yeah.
A good shout. Deep Purple, like you say, they just continue to surprise me because they've got legs. Somehow, despite everything, having been going to still pushing out good music. It's not masterpiece stuff, but these guys are having a great time. Having the best of their sunset years. They are just jamming out in the studio, putting out fun
Yeah.
music, and just having a really great time. And you know what? If I'm as cool as these guys are when I'm their age, I'll consider that a successful life.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
we got you
I
back.
Sure.
I must admit I haven't listened to it yet, and I mean that's kind of like that's bad on me.
That should be like
But like
a fourth category for these videos. It's like records from the quarter that we should have listened to. Because we all have them.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
but like they've never like sure they've had records that were not as good as others, but like they've always kind of been quality. Like I'm even thinking back to their 2003 record of Bananas that I really enjoyed,
Perpendicular.
and yeah, my one of my favorites is
That's a
What
great
Now?
record.
Yeah, or sorry, Now What?
Yeah,
Is
now
probably
what?
my
Another
favorite of
another
theirs,
good
kind of as
one.
a tribute to John Lord.
I
Um,
I think the only like bad records they had were like a couple in the late 80s, early 90s. And they weren't
Yeah.
even bad records. They just weren't as good as other Deep Purple records.
That's it. Like one of my favorites is still Perfect Stranger from
Yeah.
84.
It's one of their masterpieces.
Because it's one of their masterpieces. But like I cannot believe how good Ian Gillan sounds. Like his vocal works.
Oh,
Like there's a
yeah.
reason why he played Jesus, because his voice is otherworldly. You know, like yeah, of course. So after this is my first record that I'm going to be listening to, because sad that I completely forgot that this record had come out. So
Yeah.
yeah, got to remember that one. Okay, I guess that
So yeah,
that leaves
Deep Purple equals 1.
Deep Purple
Okay.
equals 1. All right. So over to me, I suppose. Yeah, there were a lot that we've already touched upon that I really, really enjoyed. KingCrow, Pure Reason Revolution, John Anderson. But I wanted to talk about one that we haven't quite talked about yet. And the reason why I'm choosing this one above all those is it surpassed the amount of expectations that I had, because their debut record, the album that came out before this, I did not really enjoy, but I saw a lot of people really loving, and I didn't quite get it, you know. And then this album came out, and I'm like, okay, now I understand, now I get it. And for anybody that's trying to take a guess, I'm going to relieve you of your pain. It was Haven of Echoes.
Ooh,
And their
very good.
record of Momento Vivere.
Okay.
Again, their first
Yeah.
record
Yeah.
of like, what was it? Indifferent Stars? The Indifferent
Yeah.
Stars. It was fine, but to me, I felt like they were kind of a clone band of like Gazpacho or Anathema or any of those kind of like contemporary prog groups. And I feel as if this one, because it's constructed as 4 tracks, 2 epics and 2 smaller tracks, it flows a lot better, and I'm much more able to grab onto the music in this sense. I love that they're introducing like almost like a sludge rock or a stoner rock to a lot of these tracks. Like there's this dirge within their builds. It's a lot darker, and the overall flavor is reminding me of Steven Wilson's Grace for Drowning, where he was taking influences from like a Scott Walker or, you know, like a Sun O, like those like really dirgy, really dark bands in a more atmospheric approach. So yeah, I was really surprised about this one, considering how much I wasn't a fan of the Indifferent Stars. Like that's where like the level of difference are. So yeah, for me it was Haven of Echoes, their album, their sophomore record, Momento Vivere.
I'm still trying to figure them out. I'll be honest with you. I am
That's fair.
still trying to figure these guys out. I am trying. I am trying hard with them. But as of yet, as of October the whatever it is, October the 5th, year of our Lord 2024, I've yet to figure it out. But I'm willing to give it the time of day.
Is it like on the level of something like Swans for you, or?
No, good lord, no.
Yeah.
Swans will be my forever. That is my white whale. Swans is my white whale.
I'll get you eventually.
One day.
I'm
Eventually one
unfamiliar
day,
with this.
maybe.
I'm unfamiliar with this band. I actually had to go into our Google Doc and like look it up, because I'm like, I've never even heard of this. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds interesting though.
Yeah.
I feel much the same way. I think this is an improvement over their first one. I think it adds a little bit more of an edge that like improves their sound and makes them a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I think it's a great record also.
I have a feeling I will eventually get this one. I'm on the cusp. I'm almost there. I'm just like, one or two
Don't
more.
force it. Just let it happen.
Oh, no. I'll let it happen. Don't worry. It's like every now and again, I'll put it on, as I remember seeing all these 10 out of 10 reviews from all over the place. I'm like, okay, the source is there. I just got to figure that out, and that's on me. And if I
It's
do,
for
I do. If I
somebody.
don't, I don't. Yeah, exactly.
No. Amazing. Yeah. So that's me. Let's move over to Nathan.
All right. I wanted to pick one here that kind of came out of nowhere, something that I didn't expect and maybe isn't totally in my wheelhouse, but I just kind of really loved it, is Papongu, Lampiāo Ray, I believe it's called. Yeah.
You nicked it from me. You
I'm sorry.
swine. You stole it. I'll let you have this one. I'll let you
Yeah,
have
you
this
took
one.
my disappointment, so I'm repaying the
Exactly. There
favor.
we go.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, this is a brilliant record. It's very off the wall in some ways. It's very different, but it's just really cool. It has a lot of different styles mixed into one. I believe they're a Brazilian group, so they add a little bit of that like Brazilian kind of jazziness to their sound. There's a bit of like kind of classic prog, like Gentle Giant style in there. There's a little bit of heavier moments too, almost like some heavier like vocals and like that Zool style mixed in as well, especially in the first half of the record. But a lot of great instrumental passages, a lot of cool different things they're doing, and a quirky sensibility that's unlike anything else I've heard this year. And yeah, I just think this is a excellent record, one of my favorites for sure of the year.
How
It's
do you spell this?
marvelous.
Because this isn't brand new for me, and I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, Papangu is the band. Yeah.
It is exquisite. It's
Yeah, it's
so
a cool
good.
record.
It's so weird. It's just every little quirky craziness I love. You never know where they're gonna go next. I adore it. I absolutely adore it. This was one of the Nathan Sealer quality ones that was pushed to us and fell in love. So I mean, I ordered a friggin' limited edition of 100 vinyl because that's how much I loved it. So I was like,
Wow.
yeah, I'm having that because they have a UK distribution, so it cost me like £5 for shipping. So I was like, yeah, that'll do.
I'll write
It's
that one
phenomenal.
down as something to check out.
Yeah. I
If
think it's
there's any
definitely
more
worth checking out.
inspiration
Yeah.
you could possibly need, Pedro Francisco plays the flute, electric guitars, percussion, vibraphone, Fender Rhodes, clavinet, lead and backing vocals, and the rubber chicken.
The rubber chicken. I
That
love
sounds
that.
like a Rush thing. Like if you ever like look at like the credits for like any Rush album, like Moving Pictures, it's like Neil Peart
Mm.
plays everything, including like floors. Uh,
Yeah.
Pain of Salvation's B, Daniel Gilmour plays Egg.
Yeah.
Not Egg
Oh,
Shaker, just eggs.
Just egg.
Yeah, egg. Whatever that is.
Oh, amazing.
man.
I love Prog for that so much. Like
Yeah.
anything's an instrument.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't be too upset at Nathan stealing my slot because it means I get to talk about something else as well as appreciate the absolute manic genius that is Papongu. They're so good. That's probably a top 5 of the year for me. I'm not gonna lie. It's
Wow.
superb. It is so friggin' good. I cannot say enough good things about it. It's just wonderful.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, and I've never heard this before, so I'm excited to
Oh,
dive
you'll
in
love
and
it.
hear it.
Yeah,
You
check it
This
out.
sounds very
love
much
it.
up my alley.
Sounds
Oh, yeah.
like something we'd enjoy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right, Ian, bring us home for your most surprising record.
Oh, golly gosh. Okay. I was sort of flip-flopping between which one of these two I wanted to talk about, and I'm gonna talk about the what's the best way of putting it? The anti-Nathan spray. It's the sort of record which will send Nathan running. Because I don't often get the chance to talk about this sort of music in a public forum like this, so I'm going to do it anyway. One that scared the absolute bejesus out of me about a week ago was Ingurgitating Oblivion with
Ooh.
Ontology of Nought.
That sounds
I
like
have-
a Nathan record
yeah,
maybe if I've
I've
ever
heard this
heard
record.
one.
It's very gnarly.
It's a hell of a thing. I was not prepared for this. I remember seeing one of our mutual colleagues, Beavermosh, speaking about this one on
Love it.
Twitter.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
was intrigued by the description. I decided to listen to it. Saw it was like 4 tracks, and they're all like 1,000 minutes long or something like that. It's something ridiculous. But like song titles that just go on for days. You know, the song titles are longer than most bands' discographies. It's ridiculous. And I listened to it, and my face went from a mixture of shock, awe, amazement, fear, grief, sorrow, exultation. It's a ride. It is such a ride. It's extremely intense, very difficult to describe with words. And it feels like it's one of those albums that you owe it to yourself to listen to just once. You know, even if you never listen to it again, you will never forget your first time with it. It is an extraordinary experience, the likes of which I rarely, rarely had with music, to the point where I'm debating reviewing it, but I don't know how to. You know, I can't. It's like I don't feel like my traditional structuring of here's me, I'm going to introduce myself as something. Here's a silly anecdote. Here's my history with the band, the pros, the cons, the final thoughts. I don't think I can do that. It's just going to be me sort of staring slack-jawed at the screen for 30 seconds going, well, it's different. And then I'll probably just call it a day and just leave the review as that. I haven't decided if I like it or not. I can't figure out if I like it or not, because like at some point I'm like, it's so ridiculous that I admire it so much that I can't help but love it. And on the other hand, I oftentimes feel too intimidated to press play because I know it's a hell of a time commitment and it's a hell of a thing. But it's worth a go. It's worth at least one try from everyone because you'll never hear anything quite like it.
Okay, so what's it called again?
Ingurgitating Oblivion. Ontology of Nought.
Yeah, so Ingurgitating Oblivion is the band name. Ontology of Nought is the album.
Yes.
Well,
My
let's go.
Yeah, my only criticism of this record, and it's very minor, is that on Spotify they break up the tracks to get more views on it.
Yeah.
And I am not a fan of that. I want to hear the whole like 35-hour piece like as it's meant to be. Yeah, I remember listening to this when I was in the wilds of Muskoka, like way in the woods, and I'm like, this is how this record is supposed to be listened to. It's like the most extreme metal. That, and I love it. I love the sequences. I love the like where all these tracks go. Because you never know what's coming up next. And that's kind of what I love. Like they keep you on your toes for sure. So yeah.
Hell of a thing.
Hell of a thing.
Completely by surprise.
Yeah.
All right, let's encyclopedia medal this. Norbert and guitars, vocals, Tibetan singing bowls.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Vibraphone guitars, recorder and flute. This sounds. It doesn't even say what genre this is anywhere in here. I think
it's its own genre.
I was going to say it
avant-garde metal.
Yeah, I think avant-garde metal would be the best. Like I would
avant-garde
say
black metal.
Yeah, like extreme avant-garde black metal is probably the best way to say it. So it's like, yeah, maybe Nathan, I wouldn't recommend checking this one out.
No, definitely not.
I'll stay out on this one.
Because it's like an hour and 13 minutes that
yeah.
I know you're never going to get back again. So
no, you are much better off spending your time with other things. I promise you.
Okay.
My question is, how far into my whiskey sipping should I check this out in?
Three
whiskeys.
Yeah.
I was going to say sometimes even going in stone cold sober, just without any kind of
like a cold shower.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Wake you up. Amazing.
I'll go on my work playlist.
Absolutely. So yeah, love this record. Ingurgitating Oblivion is great. Yeah. Moving to Matt to finalize this. His surprise was and somebody might have to help me with the pronunciation of this. Milton Nascimento and Esperanza Spalding.
Esperanza Spalding. Yeah.
Esperanza, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I haven't heard
pronunciation was as good as mine.
I haven't heard these, so I can't comment on them, and I wish Matt was here to give us a little bit more context. Have either of you guys heard this?
I think I'm familiar with who Esperanza Spalding is.
Again, Nathan.
Yeah,
Matt
I've heard her previous
clutch.
works, but not this.
Yeah, she's a jazz fusion bass player.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's very much blistering in a case somewhere. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the way, brother.
There you go. Just waiting for my internet to catch up because it's just struggling. You gotta love this Northern Ontario internet connection.
Yes. I know I know the
boy.
drill.
All right. Well, that brings us to our final section, and that is those records we're excited for coming up in the last 3 months of the year. So we're looking at October, November, and December. Those last couple of records, since Nathan went first at the very beginning, I guess I'll go first in this last section so that everybody gets a chance to go first. Everybody gets a chance to go last. I've only got 4, and I think they're the big 4 that we're all kind of excited for.
Probably.
We've got Frost coming out in a couple weeks. We got Devin Townsend coming after the week after that. Devin Townsend is coming out the week. Beardfish coming out. Like it's like 3 weeks back to back to back to back. That I'm really excited for. I think I may have switched the order between Beardfish and Devin Townsend. And then Opeth with their latest record that got moved into November. So
that's like the last record of the year for me.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be this quarter, but it's the last record. At least on our Google Doc list.
I'm kind of okay with it being moved into the 4th quarter because like otherwise I don't want to muddy the waters with what we already have, you know.
I can see your point.
Yeah, so those are the big 4 that I'm looking forward to. Is there any that I'm missing? And I think Nathan would go next. So Nathan,
Yes.
which ones were I missing?
Well, of course, for me, Neil Morse and
Neil
the
Morse.
Resonance.
Yeah.
I'm currently listening to it, so I don't know why I missed it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, that's coming out. Of course, always excited for Neil Morse. There were 3 records that came out this weekend that I already love that are going to be strong contenders for this quarter. Kite Parade's Disparity, really great, like poppy prog stuff, versus new album, A Voyage Destination Part 2. Really cool stuff. And Jordy Greep, the new sound, the member of Black Midi, his solo record.
Oh shoot,
that's right.
I forgot about that.
And it's really cool. I really love it. So those are some really good ones that are already out. So
amazing. Ian, anything that we missed?
Well, album of the year's already decided. I'm sorry, but Blood Incantation's got you, fam. That came out like
Blood Incantation.
Oh God, it's so good. It's ridiculous. I will be astonished if that's not my album of the year. I know I say it all the time a new album comes out and I get so excited and hyped for it, but dear God, it's good. Oh my God, it's so good.
Without giving too much away, I feel like they blended their 2 better records of Time Wave Zero and Hidden History of the Human Race together for one
glorious
record.
Piece.
Yeah,
it's Death Side of the Moon. It's great. Okay,
love
but
that description.
I've actually got quite a number of records on here, so I'm going to sort of rapid fire a little bit the ones that haven't been talked about. The new Chat Pile album, Cool World, that's coming out pretty soon. Very, very cool. I reckon you might dig on that notes. There's a very interesting one coming out soon. It's sort of like I'm not quite sure what the deal is because I only found out about it about 3 hours ago. But the Dot Heimsgard guys are doing a new record under a different name of Doed Smagurd, which is basically the Dot Heimsgard that's slightly. But I just read it, and all I can read is the Irmagerd Burks thing.
I was going to say, I'm glad that they gave us a band name that's easier to pronounce. You know,
Dot Smagurd. It's called Omni. There's a single out, and it's pretty good, so I'm quite excited for that. There's the new DGM album, Endless, that's coming out. I got a promo recently of the new Swallow the Sun. It's very, very good, doing everything I wish Catatonia was doing. Obviously, Debbie, like you say. The new Iotum album, Kinship, coming out soon. That's going to be amazing. Can't wait for that. Evola's Friend of a Phantom, that's coming out in November, I think, as well. New record from Clone, The Unseen. New Solstice as well coming out. New Linkin Park, obviously. Something I found out about only a couple of days ago. There's a new crippled black phoenix coming out as well. The wolf changes its fur, but not its nature. That's hopefully is a little less long-winded than Banefire, but we'll see. I'm hoping. And finally, one I've had for a little while now is the new Thy Catafalque album called 12, and then something in Hungarian that I can't pronounce. But it's really good. I'm having so much fun with it.
You guys might be able to fact check me. Is the Von Hertz brothers coming out with a new record?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Yeah,
On the
I didn't know.
25th.
25th. There we go.
Yep. In
Sorry,
Murmuration.
Trav, if I took that away from you.
That's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out, but honestly, you've got to beat this. I'm sorry, but I don't envy anybody trying to beat this for me. It's ridiculous.
One that I forgot to mention is a smaller record from Oddleaf, where Ideal and Denial collide. I think it might be one of my favorite, because I got an early copy. One of my favorite retro prog groups that come out this year. I've really been enjoying it, and I think it's dropping in like a couple of weeks.
Nice. Yeah, on the 11th, so next week from now, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Trav, anything that we missed that you're looking forward to?
You guys pretty much listed off everything I had to say, you know. It looks like there's a new Pineapple Thief EP coming out, Last to Run. That's coming out. That might be good. I don't know. Actually, there was something that came up, and just this morning that might be a thing. We don't know yet, but Dream Theater posted something that might be a new single. It might come out. We might get the new album this quarter.
I would be shocked.
That's a 2025.
If they pull a Taylor Swift and be like, "Hey, this Thursday the new record's coming out."
I mean, it looks
November 22nd.
If I had to guess, I would say that the video, their little clip, is going to be a single announcement. So I think we're at least going to get a single this quarter.
Yeah.
But they'll probably also announce an album title, the release date,
artwork, and all that.
And I'm kind of secretly hoping it comes out before the end of the year, just so that I can have a Dream Theater album in my list somewhere. Right. But also, I think that's about it. You guys covered pretty much everything else. Versa came out. I'm looking forward to hearing that. New Devin Townsend.
Right.
I've been loving the two singles from the new Frost record. That might end up being a potential album of the year for me. And I've never even really been a big, like I've listened to Frost, but I've never been a huge Frost fan. And then when I first heard those singles, I'm like, where has this been all my life? And I'm going to go to what I was saying about Opeth. I was shaking my head about the whole I'm okay with them being at the end of the year. And it's like, why not just release the digital version and let people wait for the physical? Like, I mean, when I order an album, I honestly, I usually have to wait a few weeks for it to ship to me anyway. Then I get a digital copy from Bandcamp or wherever, or I could listen to it on Spotify. We're kind of used to that nowadays. Why not just release it when it was supposed to come out in the first place? Digitally, and then let people wait a month for the vinyl.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the Sabrina Carpenter album, Short and Sweet. Like, I pre-ordered it, and I still haven't received it yet. So,
yeah.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. Same with Baragos. Like, I'm looking at Nathan's Baragos behind him, and I'm like, well, where's my copy? You know, just because he lives in the States doesn't mean he should get priority. Come on, guys.
Hider vinyl.
Oh god, yeah.
That was an ordeal, but you know, we have it now, so
that's right.
Go us.
Well, thanks guys for coming on and talking about our favorites, disappointments, and most surprising. You can find all of them down below. I've left all of their channels below. Because Matt wasn't here, I took notes, so in the description you'll find everybody's favorites, their worst, and their most surprising. So check out the description for all of that. And yeah, I think we'll bring this one to a close. just going to wait for my internet to catch up because it looks like you guys are frozen, unless you are being very studious. And I think we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
We're back. Okay, perfect.
Yay.
Amazing. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining. And until next time, until the fourth quarter of the year, we'll be talking about all those good things. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.